What's up guys, it's Timmy and welcome back to Factorio. So as you can tell by the screen in front of you, my main bus is slowly starting to be populated with some materials. So between episodes, after the last one where I marked out the location for the main bus and got the iron production up and running, about as loose a term of up and running as I can give, but it was actually up and running. But I've actually come down and I've expanded it and I've got it working properly now so that it will actually feed up to the main bus. Obviously this is only temporary, it needs to get turned into something that's going to be a bit more capacity, or have a bit more capacity and scalable, but whatever. And I've also got a little copper line going, so again this is going to get replaced, but my thinking is that the copper smeltery will probably be in this area here, and the iron smeltery will be in this area here, and then probably a smaller sort of steel one taking a feed off the iron there. So I've got plenty of room in this area for expansion into my various smelting needs. And still leaving space for the big chip plant that I want to build over here. So today what the plan is to start sort of setting up the science factory, or moving the science factory over to the main bus. I'm going to leave the current one running just because it's doing an okay job at the moment and allowing me to do a couple of bits and bobs. You can see I'm actually currently researching the advanced metal processing, which gives me the steel, the electric furnace. I already have the steel furnace, so I think I'm going to skip laying out steel furnaces and go straight to the electric ones, just because then I don't have to worry about coal. Right now I've just got this weird sort of mini coal mine over here which is feeding both of these quite happily, but I don't like using coal long term. It just seems like a complicated and annoying kind of thing. Anyway, I've also, while we're here to show you, I've sort of been putting out a little bit of defences. So I've just been going with this sort of two turret structure where I basically got two turrets being fed out of a chest. I probably could just stick loads of bullets in the turrets and avoid this, but it just allows me to run around and keep these things stocked up. I've been dotting those around all over because, despite doing a bit more clearing in between episodes, my pollution is still reaching out a very long way. Like I say, I don't know if this is something they've changed or whether this is because I'm in a desert and there aren't trees. I know if you look in this area here, these are all trees, I believe, and as you can see, the pollution kind of stops on that side of the trees. It kind of overlaps a bit here more, but so it's not, I don't think it's a hard and fast 100% rule, but I do believe the trees reduce the spread of pollution. But in this area over here, as you can see, there is nothing, and there are these two and one very large bases here which I'm going to have to contend with at some point. This one here is actually being periodically covered with pollution, so it's probably explaining what some of the sporadic attacks are coming from. So I'll probably deal with that at the end of this episode or before the next episode. Like I say, I will show more biter murdering at some point, but not now, because right now I've got very limited materials. All I'm doing is grinding them away with turrets, and quite frankly it's not very interesting to watch. It's not even that interesting to do. So right, let's head up to the main base so we can make sure we've got enough supplies. I've got a fair bit of stuff on me, but you could probably do with a little more. The little starter base up here is still functioning. Well, I'll keep it running for a while, but for now, eventually it will get dismantled, and I'll probably end up building the power station in this area, make use of this little pond to get the water from. I don't think I showed this in the last episode. I made up a little rudimentary chip production facility just because chips take forever to produce things. Speaking of which, let's just make up a few of these while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, chips are a slow thing to make because they need copper coils and stuff like that, so they take a while. So I thought I would just circumvent that and make my own. I've also made this over here, which is a stone brick production, which is just these little. We made use of that single piece of coal that was here that had 330 odd pieces of coal, got 232 left, and then just feeding it into this. The stone production isn't. This was too much. I shouldn't have built this. It's only keeping up with two of these, but that's fine. And it's building up stone bricks in here, which I did have feeding into here to make walls, but it was sucking up all the stone bricks, and I wanted stone bricks for. Well, I was going to build some steel furnaces, but I couldn't be bothered in the end, so we'll just let that build up for now. And I think that's all the changes I made here between the last episodes. Pretty much. Right, let's go to our miscellaneous chest, grab up some steel. We've got loads of copper still. Let's just grab the iron instead. We probably want more belts because we always want belts. Right, I'll let that go. I've got hundreds of chips right now. Let me just stick some of these in so these will actually finish. Boop. Yeah, you know what? I can't be able to wait for these. Cannot be bothered. Go away. Right. Did I make one more then? It felt like I made one more. No. Let's just stick this down somewhere. Give us a space. And we probably reapply these with coal. To get rid of some of that coal out of my inventory, which I have an absolute ton of. Right, so science production. This is going to be entertaining to try and do this while I commentate at the same time, but there you go. So what are we going to need? We're going to need some of these assemblers. Some of these assemblers, probably, I want to like 8 of these, I think. Something like that. And we've got loads of belts. We need to make up a load of these. Let's make up a couple of these. We've got fast inserters now. I didn't realise we had those already. Make up a load of them. Yeah, let's just make lots of everything. So we've got lots of stuff. Okay, right, I'll come back once that's all been crafted up. Okay, so that's all just about finished crafting up. So I think I've realised I made a little bit of I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with this, because in order to do the green science, I will need chip production in place. So what we're going to do initially is we're going to get the red science set up, and we're going to get the actual labs themselves set up. And then what we can do is move over to building up the chip plant, and then probably in the next episode. And then after the chip plants, we'll come back and get the green science up and running. So that is my thinking. That is what we're going to do. So I'm going to go with a pretty basic design for red science, I think. I'm literally just going to have a line. I want to make sure this is eventually going to go, obviously, but I don't want to be too close just in case. So let's start down here. Let's say I'm going with this idea of keeping it away from the bus. I'd rather bring materials down to mini little factories on the sides than cramming it all in there. So I'm literally just going to put 5 or that's 6. That was 6. Just going to have 5 of those. And it probably help if I reminded myself just quickly what red science takes to make. It's copper and iron gears. Okay, so we need to bring iron in, convert it to gears, and then we need to bring copper in. I'd like to get iron gears and copper on the same did it say one of each? Yeah, one of each. I'd like to get them on the same belt if I could. So because this takes a lot longer, the benefit of doing it like this is it's kind of expandable. So I believe 1 gear factory should be enough for these 4. Could be way off the mark, but it would be very easy for me just to stick another gear factory on there. Or if I find that I'm making loads of red science, but not, or I'm struggling with gears, but these are keeping up, then I can convert one of these into a gear production. Maybe, depending on how we work. So yeah, how do we do this so that it works? We're going to, right, so this will be, I want the copper and the iron, sorry, the copper and the iron gear. Ooh, we are under attack from someone. Where is it? It should be okay there, I think. So let's go and just check what's going on. The turret, they're attacking where there's a turret, so it should be alright. It's finished. We'll leave it. If they attack again, we'll go over and check. Right, we've got fast inserters now. Fast inserters are awesome. Right, so we're definitely going to want to go... I'll tell you what we might do, kind of buggers with my expandable idea, but we're just going to bring a feed down like this. So bring our iron down, and we can then actually hook up to this as and when we need it. Obviously, we're going to have to do clever things for splitting this off the main bus, so we're not just taking it. But for now, we're just going to do that because we're not going to have anything much else coming off the bus for a while, so no point getting too crazy. So we definitely want this to have fast inserter to load and unload. So that's going to unload onto that side, the left side of the belt. So I need to make sure now I can bring copper down to the right side of the belt. So do that. We'll leave a gap between it because it's always useful to have gaps. Oop, sorry, belt pushing me along. And then the way we're going to do this, and this is why I've left gaps between everything, is we need to split this off the end. This will be the main bus continuing. Let's just do that on these ones so I don't get confused. And then we need to use one of these, and this is how we will do this. We'll go doop and maximum distance, why not? And then do the same. Actually, let's do that. Nope, other way around please. That way, and that way. So this allows me, using these gaps, to basically put these tunnels in, and then I can siphon stuff off the belts quite easily. So that's why there's a gap between each of them to allow me to do this, which works pretty well. I know there are issues with I think these tunnels are a little bit slower maybe at sort of carrying materials than the normal belts are. I could be wrong about that. So again, probably dropping the efficiency of my factory by another percentage point or two by using this method, but who cares? It's going to make shit tons of everything, so who cares? Right, there we go. So now we've got our copper feed coming down, but we need to stop it from... Quick, get ahead, quick! Oh, just in time. Yeah, because I didn't want it to flood the whole belt with that, because I need it just to be on one side. And it needs to be on the left side, so that's not going to be too difficult to do. Just do this, that, and that. There we go. And once we put in the rest of the loaders, I don't think we need fast... you know what, let's make the decision now to move over to fast loaders. We'll go and get... once we get green science set up, we can set it up quite easily to produce fast loaders for us. There doesn't seem much point not to use fast loaders at this point, so why not? Right, so that's going to produce that, and then the labs themselves are going to be down here, so we're going to take this like this. There we go. Oh wow, have I really run out of belts? I kind of thought I had a shit ton of belts, but apparently I do not have that many. Right. Put in the awful power things again, like that, and there, and there, and there. And where can we hook this up to? We hook it up over here to the mining. I don't want to go... I need to get the next level of electrical distribution done as soon as possible, because the more of this wooden crap I put in, the more I'm going to have to unpick later, and that's not going to be fun, is it? Okay, so... Oh. Nope. There we go. Putting gears on the wrong belt. We're going to keep up with just one. Maybe. Getting down to the bottom one. Just watch it for a second just to see whether it's actually going to keep producing. Yeah, I think that one will certainly keep that one up and running. Right, so I'm out of belts. Better run up and grab some more belts, and then we'll finish off down here. Okay, quick trip back to the other base, and I've got myself another shit ton of belts. So right, we need to now look at doing the how many of these have we got currently? I need one more to make my 10 that I want for my factory. So the way we need to do the actual laboratories themselves is they need to have, I think we're going to do them vertically. They need to have 2 belts in between the middle of them. So we might as well use this as a starting belt. And the reason they need 2 belts is because there are 4 kinds of science. So we give ourselves lots of room in case we never want to expand the red science. Yeah, there's 4 different types of science packs, so we need one on each side of each belt, so that's 2 belts for 4. So makes sense when you say it like that, even though I've completely fluffed my words as usual. I tell you what, guys, this is a hard game for me in a way to play because I have to think a lot about this game, and I'm really going to try and edit stuff out when I'm doing thinking, because I'm aware that thinking and commentating at the same time is really difficult. But in general sense, I got to say I've been a bit sort of, I'm not sure disappointed is the right word, but I've just not been feeling my commentary very much recently. I think it's partly just because I've been so tired of late. I've just got a lot going on, and I'm just knackered if I'm honest all the time. And it's hard enough to talk and play a game at once, without sort of feeling tired and not having much energy. And I know the people who watch YouTube, myself included, they want to see people with energy and things like that. So not that it really matters that much at the moment, because say my views are fairly sort of pitiful and low. But if you are one of the very select human beings on this planet that actually watches my videos and you're feeling like, yeah, this guy's kind of feeling like he's going off the boil a bit, well, I can't say I disagree with you right now. All I can say is I don't want it ever to come across that I'm not enjoying doing YouTube and not enjoying recording. I really, really do. It's hard to explain. It's almost like therapy, I guess, for me. I really just enjoy it. It's given me a new lease of life of many games that I haven't really been playing much of late, and I just really enjoy doing it. So the point I wanted to say is, don't ever take away from this that he's just hates gaming or something like that, because if I felt like that, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be playing these games if I didn't enjoy playing them, and if I didn't enjoy recording them, I'd just go back to playing them, in my spare time as I did beforehand. In terms of like making things better and stuff like that, part of it's a lot about gaming. I came into playing this because I really like this game. It's a difficult game to record on. Doesn't give me the time to sort of talk about stuff that I want to as much as other games do, but I'm going to try and sort of keep mixing it up with the games I play. I'm going to keep playing 7 Days to Die because I really, really like 7 Days to Die. Did that make in the end? And I'm still waiting for that green science to make. But I'll be doing a lot of different stuff on the channel, and I've been pretty faithful to try and not sort of dump stuff halfway through. There's certain things like my planet-based series where I've recorded sort of 10, 11 episodes in a row, and come on, chest. What are you making? Are you still making the signs? I'll just get rid of that. Yeah, and so I haven't been back to it because A, I haven't been recording it much, and B, not many people are watching it really, so it's sort of, I don't feel the pressure to go back to it, but I am going to finish that series off. I understand the reasons why it happens, but I don't like it when YouTubers don't finish off the series. It feels like, I've invested my time into this, and at least, let me phrase it. I don't mind if for any reason YouTubers decide that they're not going to continue doing a series. Maybe it's just not popular or whatever it might be, but I kind of wish they would give explanations. Sometimes it just feels like series just disappear and they never give explanations. So I will be finishing off all my series, even the ones that I say aren't getting much views, or I kind of feel like I've run out of steam with. I am going to wrap them up in some way or another. So I will be doing that, but I'm going to be sort of mixing up the games to try and sort of refresh things. But the other exciting thing that's happening for me, and part of the reason I guess I'm a bit tired of late, is I'm just about to buy a house. I live at the family house at the moment, for various reasons, and I'm moving out now and getting my own place, which I have had my own house before, and so it's not completely new in that respect, but this is with my girlfriend, and we're going to get a place which we found, which is a lovely little country place. It's completely fucked. It's literally, I don't think it's been renovated or had much work done in about the last 25, 30 years, and it needs the roof ripping off and starting at the top and working my way down to the lower floors and doing everything in between. So it needs a lot of work, but it's in a beautiful spot. It's it's got a lovely garden. It's very sort of private and has its own sort of, as I call it, its own sort of piece of the world, which is what I often look for in where I'm going to be living. It has better internet than where I am now. It has access supposedly to fibre optics, so that will make online gaming possible for me, which may mean I start recording some online stuff. It'll also mean that uploading can be done a bit more regularly. I mean, the internet's not going to be great, but I've said that if I can get to a point where I can upload an episode overnight, I'd be happy with that, because then I can sit down in the evening, record, edit, upload, and get it out within a day or two of recording it, which is where I'd like to get to. So that's another positive. And I've also, which was quite nice, if you've been watching my channel for a bit, let me just say, as you'll notice while I'm talking like this, I'm doing fuck all on the game because I just can't do both, which is my problem, but I really want to talk about this stuff. I am crafting green science, and I'll come back to what I'm doing with the green science in a second. But yeah, through varying reasons, I've been able to sort of get myself into a position where I'm going to be able to get a new computer, which is awesome. I have a pretty reasonable computer at the moment. It's an i7 4700, but it only has a GTX 760 in it, which has worked well for me gaming wise. But as you know, if you've been watching any of my stuff, I am a big VR geek, and I really, really, really want to get a HTC Vive, and I'm really tempted to get one. And the thing that's kind of been putting me off is that my computer won't run it and graphics cards wide like a GTX 980. Oh, they did do some damage over here. A GTX sort of 980, which is sort of the minimum I'd want to go in at. I know you can run it on a 970, but I don't like the idea of getting the minimum standard for it. You know, they're still quite expensive, and they don't seem to have adjusted price in a long time. But I think that's about to change because 27th of May, I believe it is, the GTX 1080 is coming out. So this is the new generation of... Ooh, this is full. I set this up, by the way, just to gather some stone because I was out of stone, and apparently it's done a good job at that. Yeah, the 1080 is out in at the end of May, and I normally, the way I do things, and people will probably say, oh, that's a stupid way of doing it to me, is I will spend more on the computer itself and less on the graphics card, with the view that I will upgrade the graphics card after about 18 months or 2 years. And I've just found that if I do that, so I spend, say, 200 quid on a graphics card when I build the computer, I spend another 200 quid in 18 months' time, and that allows, you know, and for that second 200 quid, I'm getting kind of what would have been a 5, 6, 700 pound one, you know, at the first build. And I feel like that keeps me, obviously I'm not at the top end, but it keeps me closer to the top end for longer. This time, however, as I say, I've been quite fortunate in managing to get some money available for buying a computer, and I think I am going to splash out, and I am going to actually get myself a GTX 1080 when it comes out in the end of this month, assuming they're available. My reasoning before that, it's literally going to cost more than, you know, as I say, 2 years, 3 years, more than sort of 5, 6 years actually of graphics cards purchases for me. But looking at the specs, and appreciate the specs are early days sort of Nvidia blowing smoke kind of information, but they seem to be claiming that it's about 1.5 to 1.75 times more powerful than the Titan X, which is pretty mind-blowing by today's standards. Even if it's not, even if it's just the same level as the Titan X, the Titan X currently retails in the UK for around £1,000 to £1,200, depending on which edition you get. You can probably find it a little bit cheaper than that, but they are certainly in that kind of £1,000 region. And they are reckoning that the GTX 1080, which is, as I say, more powerful than Titan X, is going to be in the region of £500. So you're talking half the price of a Titan X for more power. That maths Timmy can get on board with. I like the sound of that, and I feel like it's worth splashing out the extra money to go that far. You know, so if you bear in mind that with any luck, a month from now, I'm going to go from using a 760 to a 1080. Woo! We're going to have some fun with that, man. And that means that opens a door for me to go out and blow a load of cash on a HTC Vive, which maybe is a ridiculous thing, and I don't know if I'll end up regretting buying it, but I just watch so much stuff on it, and I get more and more excited on everything I see, and I just want it. So there, who knows, in the future, I say the new house, we are part of the renovations, currently thinking there is going to be sort of a gaming suite. Both me and my girlfriend game quite a lot, and we want to have a decent big area for gaming, which will be, in theory, if it's still a thing when we get to that, we'll have a sort of VR feel to it. So we're going to basically build a room with a big open space that allows you to use VR to its maximum potential. And in the meantime, if I get one and if I like it, I'm actually, without sort of going into too much detail of the house, there is quite an easy possibility for me to rip out a couple of walls in the house and basically go from a 3-bedroom house down to a 1-bedroom house with a massive open VR room. So maybe sounds a bit crazy. Some people might think that's a bit of a silly idea, but you know, I love my gaming. It's, you know, I feel like that's a big part of my my life, and I want to proceed with that. So yeah, why, for the sake of ripping down a couple of partition walls, which I'm gonna have. Oh, we're definitely getting the electric poles. Which, you know, ripping out a couple of crappy partition walls, which I'm gonna get rid of eventually at some point anyway. Seems like a pretty reasonable way of doing it, so that I can then end up with a beautiful VR suite to play around in. But we will see, So I'm definitely going to be getting, as I say, a new graphics card, and as part of that I'm going to get a new computer as well, so I'm going to rebuild my computer. I use Novatech to buy most of my computer stuff in the UK. They're a website, website-based computer supplier, and I've used them for 10, 12 years now, and their service is really good, and pricing-wise, they are, you know, you can find cheaper if you just sort of look at the more sort of eBay and eBuyer and all the sort of those kind of places, but I never know where you're going to end up with customer service on that. Novatech have always been amazing with their customer service. They've always sorted out problems, no hassles, no arguments. So that's worth it for me. That's worth money for me to have that. So I'm going to get it through them. They're offering a motherboard bundle at the moment, which has got an i7 6700K Skylake processor, I think, and it's 16 gigabyte of 2666 RAM, which I might upgrade. It's faster than the RAM I've got right now, and I don't seem to have RAM issues right now, but it'll go up to 64 gig, so it's a bit of future proofing there. So I think that with a 1080p, sorry, not a 1080p, a GTX 1080 in it, you know, it's just going to be a beast, and it's going to make VR really work quite nicely. And I'm just to top it off, because as I say, I've been lucky enough to sort of have access to a bit of money. I'm looking at getting a and this is frivolous. Right now I play on a 50. Oh shit, that's right up at the base. Let's go check that out. Right now I play on a 55-inch Samsung 4K TV, and it's beautiful. But when I go to a new place, I might actually end up. Where are they? Oh, they just attacked the turrets. What did they destroy? Ooh, a rate. Where did they destroy that? Oh no, they were just attacking it, and they destroyed the radar. I have to repair things, fortunately. Yeah, so yeah, the next thing to say, this is stupid, extravagant. I would never in a million years buy one of the. Well, I'm not saying never in a million years, but I would struggle to justify this purchase, particularly as I'm looking to get a 5 as well at the same time. But as I say, I've got a way that I can do it, and it not really cost me anything. And so I'm going to be getting I believe I'm going to get a Samsung, but it's a 34-inch ultra-wide curved monitor. It's 21:9 aspect ratio, and I say it's curved, and it just looks like a thing of beauty. And so when I move to the new place, as I say, I'm probably going to move off from sort of gaming on the sofa like I do now with my PC, and actually set up a proper gaming place that I can play properly and record properly, and not sort of monopolise the television and the lounge area for when I want to record, and allow my girlfriend to do other things without having to sit there and be silent while I record. So yeah, so that's all very exciting, and I can't wait to get that. It's my birthday next month, so I think I might try and time it all around that, and yeah, and then go super crazy and buy myself a HTC Vive, and then I'll never need to go outside again. So right, so that was it. That's my kind of ramble. As I say, I know I don't really do much while I'm rambling, but I like to ramble, and I feel like that's when I'm coming out of myself more, when I'm doing my commentary. And maybe you don't find it interesting, maybe you do, but just talking about what's going on screen, particularly when I'm tired, I find, you know, when I listen back to it, I think, oh, actually it wasn't too bad. But, you know, when I'm doing it, I'm thinking like, oh my God, Tim, you just sound like you're just droning constantly. But anyway, so that's where we are. So, right, the science is now up and running. Redfoot science is being produced way more than we can use, but that's fine. And I've just been, as you can see, sticking green science in here for now until I actually get around to making it. So I think what we need to probably do now is shut down the other green or the other science production factory. And yeah, so I'm going to probably wrap this episode up here. I think it's been a little bit shorter. As I say, I've been rambling on, and in other episodes I've been playing a long time. But as I say, I'm going to be editing stuff in and out. Okay, what we're going to do first before I do end it is we're going to just mark out roughly where we want the chip factory. I'm kind of thinking this area here is actually not a bad one. It's a big old space, and obviously this will all go at some point. All these power lines can go, and we need, so basically the way the chip factory works is, if you think about it, is you're going to need these. So we need to make red and green chips. Green chips are just iron plate and copper, so copper cable. So we can get that up and running quite easily. And electronic circuits is, yeah, so we need the plastic for that. So that we need the chemical processing. So that's fine though, because I think what we'll do it in rows. Because the problem I've had in the past is belts just simply cannot carry materials fast enough. Or once you get to a certain number of assembly machines, the belts just can't carry the material fast enough to work them. There is probably I can have a look online and figure out what the actual theoretical limit is in terms of, say, feeding copper coil onto a belt. How many, assuming that belt's full constantly, how many factories can that support? So if I have a look at what those numbers are, and then what I will probably end up doing is having sort of, starting from here, we'll have like lines So you'll have copper coil production, shoop, into the green. We could probably have 2 outputs maybe, and then we'll just have the maximum number of assembly machines producing the chips, so that it doesn't get to the end at point and you find the last few assembly machines can't get the materials. This is quite an easy place because we'll be able to take a separate copper feed off, a direct copper feed from the smeltery, make sure that we get constant copper into here. Now what are you attacking? Attacking that turret again. Should be fine. Is it dead? Yeah, and between episodes as well, I'm going to have to go deal with that. But as I say, next time, chip plant is going to start being produced here, because I think we've got the space here to produce a very large chip plant. So it'll be sort of green chip production, red chip production, and then half of the green feeding onto the belt, and half of the red, or all of the red probably feeding onto the belt. But that'll be for next time, because I think we'll wrap this episode up here. So I've been Timmy, this has been Factorio. I hope you've enjoyed my little ramble, and seeing how I've put together my little basic red science production. But yeah, that's our first thing being produced off the main bus, so I'm pretty happy with that. So not a bad start for that, or not a bad conclusion to the episode. So thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you in the next episode.